Hello everyone, welcome back to Be the Whole You. My name is Gulveg. Today we're going to be talking about the new moon in Virgo that happens on September 14th and 15th, depending on where in the world you're at, 2023. So the purpose of these readings is to be more aware of the fractal nature of the universe, where we can start to see patterns in the sky above. And these patterns also tend to show up in the tarot below. And in becoming more aware of these patterns, hopefully we're able to make better decisions. So this is a very interesting new moon in that it very much, I just see this as being kind of a culmination of the last few months. First of all, Mercury is going to go direct and right alongside this new moon. So if you're in the UK, the new moon is happening on the 15th, and Mercury is going direct on the 15th. So it's been in retrograde for the last few weeks. And if you're in the United States, then the new moon is on the 14th and Mercury will go direct on the 15th. So if you're anywhere east of the United States, Mercury will go direct on the same day. And so when Mercury's in retrograde, a lot of folks, most of us don't like Mercury in retrograde because it is inconvenient, it slows things down, we will find that there's more technological glitches, you have to make sure, you have to double check that emails have gone through, traffic jams, all of that fun stuff. But it does give us a time to go within and to communicate and with ourselves. So it's a great time for meditation, cleaning out the closets, reanalyzing, re-strategizing, replanning, reorganizing, just going back and cleaning stuff up. That's what Mercury retrograde is. And on this day, surrounding the new moon, and I always look at the new moon as being a minimum of a new moon and full moon, being a 3-day event. Sometimes the effects of the moons have a much longer effect, but in general, I look at them as being a 3-day event. And what's interesting is that Mercury is going direct on this day, or, like I said, if you're in the United States, it's the day after. But still, the correlation between the timing between the two is uncanny, because Mercury, when it goes direct at first, it's known as what is stationed. So it's this pause between the retrograde and it actually moving and going direct. So what it means when something's going retrograde is that the planet in the sky looks like it's moving backwards. It's obviously an optical illusion, but in astrology, we look at that as also the energy of that planet is also being pulled back. Mercury is the planet of communication, of travel, of learning. It's very much associated with the intellect, and it also expressing new ideas. So with it being stationed at the new moon, and the new moon is a good time to be drawing in energy for new beginnings, creation. This is definitely a new moon that's supercharged as far as being able to gestate new beginnings and new ideas and new aspirations and new goals. And so it's so complementary to, if you don't remember some of the previous readings that we've done for the last full moon and the new moon before that, this very much complements a lot of the shift and changes that we've been seeing in astrology, well, really for like the last few years, but especially in the last few months. So with it being stationed, it's almost like, when a cat, before they jump, they typically will get their footing first. That's what Mercury stationed in this new moon in Virgo is like, where perhaps the retrograde for some of us might have been more inconvenient than usual. So we may have been feeling like we've been pulling back. And now we're ready to start moving forward. But we have to be careful not to make assumptions or be too impetuous with this new moon. I'm going to tell you why. So with this new moon, it's in opposition to Neptune at 26 degrees in Pisces. So Pisces is about dreams, imagination, and with it being opposed this new moon, it has the potential to bring in some of the more shadowy sides of Pisces, which is delusions, delusions and illusions, false beliefs, even a little bit of dogma. So we do need to be aware of that. And so we may be feeling conflicted about our dreams, our aspirations, and our goals at this time as far as what it is that's going to need to be let go. So Virgo, with the new moon in Virgo, and the sun and the moon are right on top of each other during a new moon. So both the sun and the moon are both in Virgo at this time. And Virgo is, first and foremost, is an assimilation type of energy. It can take information and data, creativity, and it will distill it, organize it, and make it sustainable, digestible. Virgo is an organizing energy. It's also very nurturing. It's associated with nursing and with and caretaking as well. But it does so in a very delegatory way, where it delegates, it knows what it needs to be done, and it's very pragmatic, and it just gets stuff done. It gets stuff done, and because Mercury is the planet that's associated with Virgo, and during this new moon, Mercury is stationed, there's even more potential for us, if we're able to kind of lean into it, to be drawing down fresh new energy of specifically assimilating all of the information that has been coming through for the last few months. And we might be, in the last few months, there might have been a lot of ambiguity, as well as what ideas are really realistic, what's actually attainable, is that something that I actually can do, is this relationship working, is this job actually working out, what are my other options, how can I imagine the possibilities. All of those things may have been just in rolling around in our heads especially for the last few months, where there's a lot of possibilities. We know that things are changing, but there's been just so much fogginess and lack of structure. And in the last full moon, we started to see some structure where it's kind of there, but where it's more of a silhouette. And now we're getting more concrete information on what it is that is our next step, and where it is that we ultimately would like to go. The caveat here is that during this new moon, there may be some revelations on, especially the 2 weeks after this new moon, so between the new moon and the next full moon, there will most likely be some realization of what it is that has to be sacrificed for new beginnings to take place. So if we have been burnt out, if we have been not happy with our current situation, whether or not it's professional or personal, if we've wanted to completely change course in some way, like starting a new business, this would be the time where we can start germinating that in a very big way. But there is a cost. And the flip side to that is that for some of us, we will all have to let something go in order for that new beginning to take place. And for some of us, this may actually be an emotional experience where we will be realizing what it is that will have to be let go, so that our hands are open and freed to be able to receive what comes next. And that can be really scary, because people don't change unless they're really uncomfortable, because the unknown is scary. And yet sometimes we just know that if we stay in a certain place, that the stagnation and the procrastination of not changing will be so detrimental that it encourages us to do the hard thing. And Virgo, as the caretaker and as the nurse that's giving us the medicine, we may not like the taste of it at first. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going in the wrong direction. So there is a trine that is with this. It's a very helpful alignment with the new moon in Virgo between Jupiter at 15 degrees and Uranus at 22 degrees in Taurus, as well as a trine with Pluto and Capricorn at 28 degrees. So this is where I see that change is happening in a big way. So first of all, Jupiter and Uranus, Jupiter expands anything it touches. It's an amplifier. And Uranus is it's the planet of revolution, of change. It comes in and it shakes things up. And Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth. And it's in Capricorn. But Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus, Taurus is all about pleasure. It's about wealth, and it's a little bit about luck. And then we have Pluto and Capricorn at 28 degrees, which is also an earth-based sign. And both of these are earth-based, meaning that the shifts and changes that are taking place are going to be tangible. They're going to most likely be affecting spaces in our life, such as work, home, relationships, wealth and money, and even our health too. Our relationship to our health. So with all of this being said, the change is happening, and Pluto is going to come in and be like this referee that's going to let us know, because it's the planet of death and rebirth, it's associated with the underworld, it's going to give us some clarity on what is it that needs to be allowed to let go, allowed to compost, so that we can fertilize these new seeds of intention to their fullest and greatest extent. So the other thing too about this opposition with Pisces that's really important is, since Pisces is about illusions and delusions, and we're making shifts and changes, not only is it really important to not get overly impetuous with our decisions. Let's not put the cart before the horse or jump the gun. But it's also very likely that we might have some clarity on a certain belief of something that we thought was true that now we realize is not. And the clarity around the beliefs that are either no longer true or perhaps never were, that clarity I think is going to continue to unfold all the way through into the full moon. So if you're not clear within the first few days on what your next steps are around this new moon, it's very likely that you will have that clarity in the next 2 weeks. Because it might, if you're in a particular case, because this will affect everybody a little bit different because it depends on your birth chart. If you're in a particular situation where the lack of clarity is coming from a false belief of something that you don't think you can do, something that you don't think you have time for, something that you believe about yourself that isn't true, or your abilities, or something, or perhaps you're just having a hard time trusting yourself in general, or trusting in a particular process, or whatever it might be, that if that's the thing that's keeping you back, that's going to become very clear that that is going to probably be the foundation of what needs to be let go in order to move ahead. And if that's the case, like for some folks, it may be a relief. Like we might be like, oh, so I'm glad that that's over. And for others, that realization might come with some grief or some sadness and some internal conflict of what it is that needs to be let go. Virgo is very discerning, so it's the assimilator. It's able to take information, it's able to take circumstances, and it's able to cut them up into finite little parts so that everything works together in a very beautiful way. So this is a great time for strategizing. If you have been wanting to create a business plan, if you have been wanting to strategize how you're going to move to another city, or change a job situation, or go back to school, or you're wanting to get some fresh inspiration on how to put yourself out there in a whole new way to attract the right partner, this would definitely be a good time to do some journaling and to just brainstorm some things, because there definitely will be some nuggets of wisdom and some goodness in there. So basically, this new moon is encouraging us to have the discernment to focus our energy on things that we're able to influence, that we're able to change, not control. I don't necessarily like the word control because it insinuates like a type of domination, and I don't think we are able to truly control anything in life, but we can influence. We can sometimes influence certain things greatly. For example, you can influence your mind. You can influence your life circumstances. You can influence your beliefs about yourself. Those are things that you can influence. So this new moon is giving us the clarity and discernment to choose as to what it is that we can influence in our life and what it is that we can't. And basically stop worrying about the stuff that we can't influence and really just focus and empower ourselves by focusing our energy on the things that we can influence. And this new moon will help us have the discernment on what things we can change and what things we can't. And then it's going to require us to have some bravery to let go and to make maybe some tough decisions so that we can follow that guidance, we can follow that inner knowing. So with that being said, I think that's a really good point to start taking a look at the tarot. So what are some of these things that might be coming up that we can change and can't change, and how are we going to know? How are we going to know? I think those are some questions, like how best can we know when we're getting a sign from above that will let us know if we're able to influence or change something, because sometimes that's hard to know, you know? So, all right. So join me in setting the intention of knowing that if a particular message that comes up in this reading, if it's really for you, if like you're just like, oh yeah, that part, that definitely applies to me. So setting the intention that you will just have like an uncanny knowing that of what messages really pertain to you and whatever situations you're facing in your life right now. And also help me set the intention. What do we need to know most about this new moon in Virgo? December 14th and 15th, 2023. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So the very first card that comes up is lovely. Pennies from heaven, yo. Pennies from heaven. Ace of Pentacles. We always like to see this one. This is very much about luck. This is very Taurus-y kind of energy, the bright side of Taurus, bright side of Venus. Venus is the planet that's associated with Taurus and Libra. And from here, like, you literally have pennies from heaven. There's this, I don't know if you can see it through the glare, but there is a hand holding this pentacle, this coin, and it is just a gift from above. Now, how we've been feeling about the gifts from above lately has been, what's going on? Like, I know that the gifts are there, like it's in transit. I think this has been like where we've been. This is like Mercury retrograde stuff. The wheel reverse is like spinning your wheels. It's feeling stuck. It's feeling, ugh. And so I know that that's been at least what has been communicated to me from a lot of folks, is like, this has definitely like been where we're at. And this is, for some of us, has really kind of taken a toll on our confidence. This is what I'm seeing is the, when we were talking about the false beliefs, that, and the shadow side of Pisces and how it's in opposition with the new moon, that a lot of the things that will come up as far as the letting go is going to be internal beliefs, thought processes, especially about about ourselves. So That's the key. That's the key to the pennies from heaven is, and the pennies from heaven, by the way, like, yes, it can signify actual money, but it's blessings of all sorts that really nurture and support our livelihood. So this could be blessing in terms of finding like a better living situation or roommates, or it could be a better finding the right business partner, like that type of thing. And it comes down to shifting our perspective on our abilities, what we think we can do, and what is available to us. A lot of times we have more options than we give ourselves credit for. Not liking your options is not the same as not having options. And that is definitely something that I'm getting here between the Wheel and the Prince of Wands, is that a lot of times we just say that we can't because the options are either too overwhelming, they're unattractive, or they're going to require that we let go of something or sacrifice something that we're not really willing to sacrifice. But stagnation and procrastination and worry are not safety nets, and the change is coming, folks. Like especially the next year, there's going to be a lot of change. Pluto is transiting; it's shifting signs. So when it does that, big shift for us all is coming. So just digging our heels in and being really rigid actually is going to bring more of this. Nobody wants to sit and spin. Nobody wants to sit and spin. Like, we don't want to stay stuck. We don't want to like just be in neutral all day long. That is really, really boring. So the thing that needs to be shifted the most in order to bring these blessings from above is our beliefs on what is available, what our options are, and what our capabilities are. At the end of the day, I don't know who needs to hear this, but you're far more fabulous than you ever know. At least ever know up until this point. There is an opportunity to just really let your fabulous flag fly. So, all right, folks, this has been a fun one. If you're looking to have a reading, take a look at my website, BeTheWholeYou.com, with just the letter U, and take a look. And if you would like a personalized reading, you can book one there. I hope you all have a fabulous couple weeks, and I'll see you back here again when we're going to take a look at the full moon. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.